You want success? Then understand this. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody is coming to save you, to pull you up, to make things easy. Success doesn't care where you come from, what you've been through, or how hard it's been. It only responds to one thing: relentless perseverance. The people who make it, the ones who rise to the top, they aren't always the smartest, they aren't always the most talented. They are simply the ones who refuse to give up. Too many people sit around waiting for the right moment, waiting for the perfect opportunity, and tell themselves, when I get that lucky break, when someone finally notices me, when life gets a little easier, then I'll go after what I want. But that's not how this works. Success is not about luck. It's not about timing. It's about who's willing to grind, who's willing to keep going when everybody else quits. The ones who win are the ones who push forward even when the odds are stacked against them. You think the greats got there by accident? You think they woke up one day and everything just fell into place? They put in the work. They showed up every single day, even when they didn't feel like it, even when they were tired, even when nothing was happening, even when it felt like they were failing. They kept moving, they kept pushing, they kept grinding. There will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be moments when you doubt yourself. People will tell you no, they will count you out, they will say you don't have what it takes, and that's when you have a choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it push you harder. You can let it stop you, or you can let it fuel you. Because here's the truth. Every time you push through, every time you refuse to quit, every time you keep going with everything inside you screaming to stop, you are proving that you deserve success. You are proving that you are relentless. Nobody remembers the people who almost made it. Nobody celebrates the ones who started strong, gave up when it went tough. The world only sees the ones who made it to the top, the ones who refused to back down, the ones who showed up every single day, no matter what. If you want to be one of them, you've got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Because if you don't want it bad enough to fight for it, to sacrifice for it, to push past every obstacle in your way, then it was never really yours to begin with. So stop waiting, stop making excuses, stop looking for the easy way out. There is no easy way. There's only the grind, the work, the perseverance. The question is, are you willing to keep going when nothing is working? Are you willing to push forward when the world tells you to quit? Because if you are, success will have no choice but to find you. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants the struggle. Nobody wants the pain, the setbacks, the failures. But here's the thing. You don't get one without the other. You don't get to the top without first being at the bottom. You don't win unless you've lost a few times along the way. The people who make it aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who took every failure, every rejection, every moment of doubt, and used it as fuel. See, most people hit a roadblock and stop. They try something, it doesn't work out, and they start telling themselves, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe it's just not in the cards for me. And that right there, that's the difference. That's what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who don't. Because the ones who make it, they don't see setbacks as stop signs. They don't see failure as the end of the road. They see it as a lesson. They see it as part of the process. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to hear no more times than you can count. You're going to feel like giving up. But that moment, when everything inside of you is telling you to stop, that's when you have to dig deeper. That's when you have to remind yourself why you started. Because if success were easy, everybody would have it. If it didn't take sacrifice, didn't take struggle, didn't take pain, then what would it be worth? Every failure is a test. It's life asking you, how bad do you really want this? Are you willing to keep going when everything seems to be against you? Are you willing to fight for it even when it feels like the fight is never going to end? Because if you are, you can take that pain and turn it into power. If you can use those rejections as fuel instead of an excuse to quit, then nothing will be able to stop you. People love to talk about success stories. They love to celebrate the wins. But what they don't talk about enough is the losses that came before it, the failures, the disappointments, the moments when everything seemed impossible. Because that's the part that matters. That's the part that builds you. That's the part that decides whether you're just another person who wanted success or the one who was relentless enough to go get it, So stop seeing failure as the end. Stop letting setbacks define you. Start using them. Start learning from them. Start realizing that every obstacle, every rejection, every challenge is shaping you into the person you need to be to handle success when it finally comes. Because it's not a question of if you'll face struggles, it's a question of how you'll respond to them. And if your response is to keep going, no matter what, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. Rejection is not the end. Too many people hear no and let it break them. They take it personally. They let it make them feel like they're not good enough, like they don't have what it takes. But the truth is, rejection is not failure. Rejection is a test. It's a challenge to see how bad you really want what you say you want. It's life asking, are you willing to keep going even when the answer is no? Everybody who has ever achieved something great has faced rejection. Everybody who has ever stood on top has been told at some point that they weren't good enough, that they weren't the right fit, that they didn't have what it takes. The difference is, they didn't let it stop them. They didn't take that no as the final word. They didn't let one person's opinion decide their future. Because that's all rejection is, an opinion. It's somebody else's perspective, but it does not define your potential. You weren't given a vision for no reason. You weren't given a dream just to let it die the first time somebody tells you no. If you really believe in what you're doing, if you really believe in your purpose, then rejection is nothing more than a stepping stone. It's not there to stop you. It's there to redirect you. It's there to strengthen you. It's there to make sure you're ready for what's coming. Because if you quit now, if you give up after a few rejections, then success was never really yours to begin with. Think about it. How many people have walked away from their dreams just because somebody told them they weren't good enough? How many people settled for less because they let rejection convince them that they weren't meant for more? You don't want to be one of those people. You don't want to live your life wondering what if. You don't want to look back years from now and realize that the only thing standing between you and success was your ability to keep going. Every rejection is an opportunity. It's a chance to learn, to grow, to get better. It's a chance to prove to yourself and to the world that you are not going to be stopped that easily. Because if one no is enough to make you quit, then you never really believed in yourself in the first place. If one closed door is enough to make you walk away, then you were never really committed to the process. But if you take that rejection, if you use it, if you let it fuel you instead of break you, then there is nothing that can stop you. Success is not given. It is earned, it is fought for, it is claimed by those who refuse to back down. And rejection, that's just part of the process. That's just another obstacle in the road. But the road doesn't end there. The only way you lose is if you stop moving. The only way you fail is if you let rejection define you instead of pushing through it. So don't let no be the reason you quit. Let it be the reason you go harder. Let it be the reason you fight even more. Because one day, if you stay in the fight, if you keep pushing, if you refuse to be denied, then all those no's will turn into the only answer that matters. Yes. Discipline and consistency separate the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not connections. It's about who is willing to show up every single day, put in the work, and stay committed long after the excitement fades. Because anybody can start strong, anybody can be motivated for a week, maybe a month. But what happens when the motivation wears off? What happens when life gets in the way, when things get hard, when progress feels slow? That's where most people stop. That's where most people walk away. The ones who make it, the ones who succeed, they aren't necessarily the best. They are just the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who do the work, even when they don't feel like it. They are the ones who keep pushing, even when they're tired. It's not about working when it's easy. It's about working when it's hard, when you don't see results yet, when nobody's clapping for you, when nobody's watching. That's when it matters the most. Most people want success to be convenient. They want to put in effort only when it's comfortable, but success doesn't operate on your schedule. Success doesn't care about how you feel. It only responds to consistency. It only shows up for the ones who keep showing up for it. And that's the problem. Too many people only work when they feel inspired. They only grind when they feel good. And then they wonder why they aren't seeing results. You don't build greatness in a day. You don't build discipline overnight. You build it through repetition, through commitment, through deciding every single day that you are going to push forward no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if nobody believes in you. It doesn't matter if the progress is slow. You keep going. Because if you quit now, if you stop because it's hard, then you don't want it bad enough. Success requires patience. It requires sacrifice. It requires waking up every day and making the choice to keep moving forward even when you don't feel like it, even when the excitement is gone, even when there's nothing motivating you except the vision you have for your future. That's what separates the ones who talk about success from the ones who go get it. Everybody wants the reward, everybody wants to win, but are you willing to work when nobody's watching? Are you willing to grind in silence? Are you willing to stay disciplined when distractions come knocking? Because the truth is, you won't always feel like it. There will be days when you're tired, days when you doubt yourself, days when everything in you wants to quit. And that's when you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? If you only work when it's easy, you will never get there. If you only stay committed when things are going your way, you will never reach your full potential. The ones who succeed are the ones who stay locked in, no matter what. The ones who refuse to break. The ones who refuse to make excuses. And that's a choice. That's something you decide every single day. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just start, show up, be consistent, be disciplined, because at the end of the day, the only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is whether or not you are willing to keep going. Fear is what stops most people from ever reaching their potential. Not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity, fear. Fear of failing, fear of looking foolish, fear of stepping outside of what's comfortable, and that fear, it's a liar. It tells you that you're not ready, that you don't have what it takes, that you should wait until the time is right. But the truth is, fear will always be there. It will always try to hold you back. And if you listen to it, if you let it control you, then you will never take the steps necessary to become who you were meant to be. Everybody feels fear. The difference is in how you respond to it. Some people let it paralyze them. They let it keep them stuck in the same place year after year. But successful people, they feel fear and move forward anyway. They understand that fear is just a signal that they're stepping into something bigger than themselves. It's a sign that they are growing, that they are pushing past the limits they once believed they had. Too many people let fear dictate their lives. They stay in jobs they hate because they're afraid of the unknown. They don't chase their dreams because they're afraid of failing. They don't take chances because they're afraid of what other people might say. And before they know it, years have passed. They've built a life that feels safe, but deep down they know they were made for more. They know they were supposed to do something greater, but they let fear steal it from them. Fear is never going to disappear. The goal is not to live without fear. The goal is to act in spite of it. The goal is to recognize fear for what it is, a test. It's life asking, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to step into the unknown? Are you willing to take risks, to bet on yourself, to trust that you are capable of more? Because if you are, then fear becomes nothing more than background noise. It's still there, but it doesn't control you. It doesn't stop you. The best things in life are on the other side of fear. The biggest opportunities, the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest successes, they all require stepping into the unknown. They require taking a leap before you can see where you're going to land. That's why most people don't do it, because it's uncomfortable, because it's risky, because there are no guarantees. But that's also why most people never experience what it truly means to live fully, to chase their dreams, to see what they are really capable of. Fear isn't the enemy. Staying the same is. Waking up every day and knowing you're capable of more but doing nothing about it, that's the real failure. Because at the end of the day, you won't regret the chances you took. You won't regret stepping out in faith, even if you fall a few times. What you will regret is letting fear keep you small, letting it rob you of the life you were meant to live, letting it convince you that you weren't good enough, smart enough, strong enough. You are capable of more than you realize, but you'll never know it if you let fear stop you. You'll never reach your potential if you wait until you're not afraid. The time is now. The opportunity is in front of you. The question is, are you going to take it? The road to success is not a straight path. It is not smooth, and it is not easy. It is full of obstacles, setbacks, disappointments, and failures. There will be times when you feel like everything is against you, times when nothing seems to be going your way, times when you start questioning if you even have what it takes, and that's where most people give up. That's where most people throw in the towel and convince themselves that maybe success just wasn't meant for them. But those who make it, those who reach the top, they understand one thing. Failure is not final. It is not the end. It is a lesson. It is a stepping stone. It is part of the journey. Everybody wants to succeed, but nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to go through hardship. Nobody wants to struggle. But what if the struggle is exactly what you need? What if the failures are what shape you? What if the obstacles are what prepare you for the very thing you've been praying for? Too many people see failure as proof that they aren't good enough, that they should stop, that they should settle for less. But failure is not a reason to stop. It is a reason to adjust, to grow, to get better. Failure teaches you what success never could. It teaches resilience, it teaches patience, it teaches strength. If you never failed, you would never appreciate success. If you never struggled, you wouldn't be prepared for the weight of winning. Because success is not just about reaching the top, it's about having the strength to stay there when you do. And that strength is built in the moments when you fall, in the moments when you have every reason to quit, but you choose to keep going. There is no successful person who has not failed, not one. Every great leader, every great entrepreneur, every great artist, every great athlete, they all have stories of failure. They all have moments when they were counted out, when they were rejected, when they thought about giving up. But what separates them from everybody else is that they didn't. They took the failure, they learned from it, and they came back stronger. They didn't let it define them, they used it to push them forward. Too many people fear failure so much that they never even try. They play it safe. They stay in their comfort zones. They never take risks because they're afraid of falling. But if you live your life trying to avoid failure, you are also avoiding success. Because you can't have one without the other. You can't grow without struggle. You can't build strength without resistance. You can't succeed without failing first. The only real failure is quitting. The only real defeat is walking away from your dreams because you let a temporary setback convince you that it was permanent. But if you refuse to quit, if you refuse to let failure stop you, then success is inevitable. It may take time. It may take more effort than you thought. It may require you to get back up more times than you ever expected. But if you keep going, if you keep pushing, if you keep learning, then failure is not the end. It is just part of the process. Every fall is an opportunity. Every mistake is a lesson. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. The only question is, will you get back up? Will you learn? Will you fight? Because if you do, if you refuse to let failure break you, then there is nothing that can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be. Success is not reserved for a select few. It is not handed out freely, and it does not come to those who simply wish for it. It belongs to those who are willing to work, to struggle, to fight for it. It belongs to those who refuse to be stopped by failure, those who push forward even when the road gets tough. It belongs to those who are relentless. The question is not whether you are capable, the question is whether you are willing. Willing to endure, willing to sacrifice, willing to do what most people won't in order to live the life most people never will. Excuses are easy, they're comfortable, they give you an out when things get difficult. They give you a reason to stay where you are, to avoid the work, to avoid the discomfort of growth. But excuses won't take you anywhere. They won't help you build the life you want. They won't push you toward your dreams, and they won't lead you to success. The moment you let go of excuses, the moment you decide that nothing will stop you, that's when everything changes. That's when you take control of your life. That's when you step into your power. There will be days when you feel like giving up, days when you don't see progress, days when doubt creeps in, when fear tries to convince you that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not capable enough. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when you have a choice to let fear win or to rise above it, to surrender or to keep going. And if you choose to keep going, if you choose to fight, if you choose to believe in yourself, even when nobody else does, then you will succeed. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Because the only way to fail is to quit. Nobody ever said it would be easy. Nobody ever promised that success would come without struggle. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to stay disciplined, if you're willing to embrace the setbacks, to learn from them, to use them as fuel instead of letting them defeat you, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. The greatest rewards come to those who refuse to be stopped, to those who see obstacles as challenges instead of barriers, to those who know that success is not given, it is earned. Your future is in your hands. Nobody is going to hand it to you. Nobody is going to do it for you. It's up to you to take the steps, to do the work, to stay committed even when it's hard. It's up to you to decide that failure is not an option, that quitting is not an option, that you are going to give everything you have no matter what. Because the truth is, if you want it badly enough, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not doubt, not setbacks. The only thing that can stop you is you. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let fear control your life? Are you going to let excuses hold you back? Are you going to settle for less than you're capable of? Or are you going to rise? Are you going to push through the doubt, the struggle, the pain, and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and ready to claim the life that belongs to you? The choice is yours. Always has been, always will be.